Доброго дня, шановні колеги.
Good afternoon, dear colleagues, and now information about the events that happened in the ATO area during the last 24 hours. In Lugansk area, the enemy delivered 3 shellings near Trihozbenka and Novozvanivka. All these shellings were in the evening, after the sunset. In the Donetsk area, there were some military actions to the north of Gorlovka and in Avdiivka and Opetne. The shellings were delivered during the dark hours and mainly with the use of mortars. Intensity of enemy fire increased. The enemy launched 230 mines, and on the whole, in the Donetsk area, there were 7 enemy shellings. In Mariupol area, there were 10 shellings delivered by the enemy, including 3 mortar shellings. The situation was tense in Novotroitsky, Ramchuk, and Pavlopol. According to the information of State Border Service of Ukraine, yesterday there were 7 flights of air drones of the enemy observed. During the last 24 hours, no Ukrainian serviceman was killed, but 6 were wounded. All these losses were sustained in the Donetsk area in course of shellings. Chief Intelligence Department of MOD provided information about the losses of the enemy. 7th Detached Motorized Brigade that is deployed in the Debaltseve lost 1 militant and 4 were wounded. In 11th Detached Motorized Regiment, 3 were wounded, and also 9th Detached Motorized Regiment, Novoazovsk, they sustained losses. 1 person was killed and 3 were wounded in Sakhanka. Also, 21 body was brought through Marinivka checkpoint to Russia. These were the bodies of Russian servicemen. SBU counteract subversive activity. They got information that the enemy infiltrated to the rear of our positions, and they were trained in subversive activity. These were those who were previously trained in Russia. The militants went to the rear of Ukrainian positions and they tried to take hostages. So SBU officers came, the enemy was trapped, and 1 militant was killed and 3 were wounded. Also, counterintelligence service of SBU, together with state emergency service, found a group of subverters who carried out subversive activities in the northern part of Lugansk Oblast. There were 3 people in this group. One of them was from the emergency service, and another was a smuggler, and 1 more was former member of Communist Party that was banned. And these people, they informed the Russian security services on the movement of Ukrainian troops, about the work of checkpoints, and about the defense of state border. In Bakhmutovsky region in Donetsk Oblast, the officers detained a militant who joined the militants of DPR in June 2014. He was serving at the checkpoints. Now the video with his confessions. I served at checkpoints in Derzhinsk, and I searched the cars, and I address Ukrainians not to provide any help to the militants. Two more militants used the program of SBU that is called They Wait for You Back Home. One of them, the resident of Lysychansk, fled from Ghost Gang because he was abused there. Also, a resident of Stanichno-Lugansk region returned home. He didn't want to take part in illegal activities against Ukrainian forces. Also, special services blocked the channel of financing of the militants. The SBU officers found out that commanders of the militants managed one of the Kiev company that was re-registered in the occupied territory, and this company was involved in trading in timber, and they provided some wood for the militants, and the firm also brought some illegal wood through Kherson port, and they were collaborating with some companies and with the militants. Also, SBU found 500 cubic meters of wood in Kherson's port, and the officers confiscated about £500,000 of hryvnias, about $400,000, 130,000 euros, and 10,000 pounds sterling, and also 7 kilograms of gold. Also, Ukrainian servicemen continue their training in Nikolaevshina. Marine officers are trained. There were some firing exercises with the use of small arms, and then they had some other training. They were trained in different conditions, and also the National Guardsmen were trained. They coordinated their actions, and they were trained in battle readiness. Also, the tank operators of the 24th detached brigade, named after Danila Galitsky, were trained, and they were firing the aims, and there were heavy rains then, so it was one more difficult condition for them. They improve their skills, and also trucks went through Zaitsevo and Novotroitsk checkpoint, went and they brought humanitarian help, some food and hygienic kits from Red Cross organization and other charitable organizations. If you have questions, please ask. Tell us, please. You were speaking that we have 6 people who were wounded. Where it happened? What were the circumstances? It happened during shelling, 1 Zaitsevo and 5 in Opitne. If there are no questions, thank you and goodbye.